Do you remember back in 2016 when the Remain side during the EU elections told us that the EU couldn't possibly be more democratic? That it's such a wonderful institution that cares for the sovereignty of every nation. And when the Leave side raised concerns that this benevolent, all-seeing institution could potentially devolve into a tyrannical governing body, they were laughed at. When people brought up concerns that there could be potentially an EU army on the way, they were laughed at. And now, the EU's rolling out quite possibly one of the most tyrannical policies throughout Europe. Now, we all know that all across Western Europe, and particularly Eastern Europe, the new far right is on the rise. Now, anyone who dares read past the headlines would already know at this point that it isn't the far right. It's not racism. It's populism against things like this. The EU is shitting itself. When Britain leaves in October, fingers fucking crossed, their influx of cash is going to go down the tube. So now what it looks like they're trying to do is almost make it like some kind of cult status across Europe. Sovereignty be damned. Germany. Lawmakers want 3-year prison terms for burning the EU flag. That sounds free, doesn't it? Damaging the symbols of the European Union could result in a fine or custodial term of up to 3 years under new laws proposed in Saxony, Germany. Now that, to me, sounds a lot like Soviet Russia. Lawmakers in the German state want to pass new legislation to take firm and effective action against those whose aim is to disparage the fundamental values of the European Union. Well, what are the fundamental values of the European Union? Because right now all I can see is tyranny. Those aren't values I want to be a part of. That's for fucking sure. While the right to objective or legitimate criticism would supposedly remain protected, the law's proponent claim is a commandment of self-esteem that Germany, as a founder member state of the European Union, protects it against malicious contempt. So if you live in Germany, you can no longer exercise your freedom of speech or freedom of expression, which is supposed to be protected under the European Court of Human Rights. You can no longer express those sentiments if they're anti-European Union. And they told us that the European Union is a benevolent democracy. It's the most wonderful thing in the world. Well, look where we're going. Look where this is going. Now, I'll give a £10 note to anybody who can guess who came up with this idea. That's right. Emmanuel Macron. The little shit stirrer. It's his idea. It's his idea. The heavy-handed proposal follow moves by France led by Europhile globalist Emmanuel Macron. Now, this is from Breitbart, so obviously they're biased, and, you know, if you get this from somewhere else, the BBC ain't gonna call him a Europhile globalist, but hey, that's what he is. To make the display of European Union flag compulsory in all school classrooms. Hitler Youth, anyone? Jesus Christ. This followed the passage of an amendment by the National Assembly as a French call for their parliament, which was put forward by Éric Ciotti of the nationally centre-right Les Républicains, the Republicans, with backing of President Macron's education minister Jean-Michel Blanquer. Who gives a fuck? Obviously, Le Pen here is critical of this. I don't know what the hell this is supposed to achieve, other than to scare the population into not thinking about these new overlords that rule the European continent. It's not democratic. We know it's not democratic. MEPs can't do anything. The laws come from the Commission. And if the Commission don't like what the MEPs vote on, they'll just ask them to vote again until they do it right. The Commission is not elected. How this is even up for debate anymore, that the EU is not what it was supposed to be, or not what they told us it was supposed to be, is beyond my comprehension.